I'm Bella St. John, and welcome to the first episode in this new season of Inspired2Achieve. My guest today is my dear friend, Dr. Trahern LaFavor. Welcome.
Wonderful, Bella, and I'm happy to be here.
Now, the reason that you're here today isn't just to talk about the amazing things that you've done in your world, like playing NFL football, among other things, but it's specifically to talk about the launch of your brand new book. I'm so excited.
Thank you so much. The title of my book is Rebuilt: Life Before and After the NFL. And this book really is written to inspire youth, but also people at large, because it really deals with a dream. And it was my desire and dream to make it to the NFL, and I made it. And it was a 4-year contract, but after 1 year, I got the news that we have to let you go. And that really cut to the core. But after he said that, the coach, within seconds, he said, "You're going to be okay." And what that meant for me is he knew that I was a man of faith. He knew that I had a strong family background, and he knew that I had the support that I needed to successfully transition out of the NFL. And really the book is inspiring people to dream. And even though you may have a dream that appears lost, you can dream again.
And now, Trahern, you didn't exactly come from a major sporting family that had a long history of professional sports or whatever. Tell me about the process that you went through. You were growing up, but you had this dream of playing in the NFL. What were some of the key moments and key lessons that carried you through to the point where you did actually get accepted into the NFL?
Yeah, I understand the struggle, and I can identify with some of the struggles that youth have. I grew up in the inner city in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and my family, they had struggles as well. My parents, my mom grew up in South Carolina, and she worked in the fields, and God bless her, she passed away a few years ago. And my father, he worked the fields in Georgia as well, and they knew what it was like to work hard to make a living, and they came to Florida with a dream as well. And from that foundation of faith, because they had to hope as well, but they instilled that in my siblings. I'm the youngest of 5, and the principles of hard work, dedication, also faith, determination, those were the things that really helped me to establish a strong faith, not only in sports, but also just to help rebuild my life as well.
So in addition to your faith, what were some of the other resources you had within yourself that helped you achieve this goal of playing in the NFL that so many people have? So many youngsters have this dream, but so few achieve it. What else did you have within you that separated you from the pack?
For me, one experience in particular was dealing with low self-esteem and low confidence. And for me, I remember during a challenging time, my father, he actually walked me to school one day. I was in trouble, and like most peers in youth, I got into some trouble. But he said, I'm not going to let you be labeled. And he was encouraging me to believe in yourself. Along with my parents, they instilled that in me. And that first principle of just believe in God and believe in yourself was really the thing that helped me to have a strong core. And when I encountered challenges, I was able to reflect back on believing in myself. And that really helped me to endure everything I needed to make it to the NFL.
I love your papa, by the way. He's a wonderful, wonderful man. So please send him my love. So tell me about the moment when you received the news that you had been accepted into the NFL.
Oh, that was an amazing day. I remember that morning. My brother, he actually flew in from Virginia. My family was there. And we actually went to church that morning on the day of the draft. And I did not know what to expect, but it was actually 2003. It was in April, and we were home. And I remember we were watching the draft. It was the second day of the draft. And the call came in from the Chicago Bears that they're going to take me, pick number 171. And I was just so full of joy because it was a dream come true. And my family was so excited to be a part of that process.
Now, take us through another 12 months and you're called into coach's office, but you get a slightly different response this time.
Like most youth who play sports and make it to that level as a young man, my hope was to finish at least my contract and have a career in the NFL. And I was really hurt and really broken. But when he said that you're going to make it, that really struck with me. And I really reflected on that as I walked to the locker room and told the guys that I will no longer be a Chicago Bear. But when I got on the plane, I started feeling very hopeful. And when I arrived home to Fort Lauderdale, my family really showered me with support and love, and the support from my church family. It was the thing that really helped me to deal with that moment. And then I started rebuilding from there.
And what was that rebuilding process? Where did you go to from there? Because one of the things that you say, not only in your book, but in general conversations is, and I agree with you, you say, I successfully transitioned out of the NFL. And for a lot of people, they would say, but hang on a minute, you were cut. And it's like, yes, I may have been cut, but your transition was successful. So what happened? What did you do? Where did you go?
So for me, the first thing, I actually went to church that Sunday, and I remember we had a licensed marriage and family therapist. His name was Thomas. He was at our church, and when I walked through the doors, he was excited to see me. And immediately he said, I know of a career that will be helpful to you, that would help your ministry. And he said, a family therapist. And at the time, I'm looking like, I just finished a career in sports and at least a year. And I'm not thinking about what I'm going to do next. But he said that along with my father, he said, son, you have to do something. And I remember, Bella, when I actually started the process of what to do next, I remember going into the grocery store and deciding that, maybe I should start here. I didn't know what to do, but that was a humbling moment for me as well, because you have to figure it out. And that really wasn't easy for me. But through support and through my mentors, I was able to begin that process. And I enrolled in Nova Southeastern University, and I started actually working on that master's degree in marriage and family therapy, and that began the process for me.
And so you found your next calling in life, and you're living and breathing that now and doing a wonderful job. What was the process for you getting to the point of deciding that you wanted to put all of this into a book?
That process for me, it was a journey. And when I became a marriage and family therapist, I was actually fortunate to work for the Miami Dolphins for 5 years as a team clinician. So although I got cut from the NFL, I was able to get involved again with players and also professional athletes. And I remember after working with a professional athlete, he called me and he said, Tron, I think you should write a book. And I'm thinking to myself, write about what? Transitions, struggles, life. And you should package that. And at the time, I didn't take action on it, but it was in the back of my mind. And while working with at-risk youth in the inner city, I thought about it even more. And I said, I'm going to write that book. And that was the beginning of the process. And I had to decide what and how to do it. And that's when I reached out to you, Bella.
Yeah.
And you really supported me, and you really helped get the book out of me. And it was a wonderful journey to begin that process of really making that story come alive to inspire others.
It was honestly a pleasure working with you, trying to get to go through this entire process, as you say, of dragging the information out of you, going through all of this. Now, your book is aimed at who?
So my book is really, I would say it's aimed at all people because it really covers a variety of topics. It covers relationship, it covers goals, it covers family dynamics, and it really covers faith, a wide range of topics. So the book would be a good read for many. One of my mentors, as well as one of the coaches from the University of Florida, they actually provided a quote for the book. And they really mentioned how the book will not only be helpful for athletes, but it will be helpful for parents, people who are not in sports. So that inspired me, because originally I was thinking about youth, but then the story had so many multifaceted aspects that can help all people. So I'm excited that it's a really good, easy read that can be helpful to many people.
Yeah, exactly. Now, there are so many quotes about all of these wonderful books that exist in the graveyards, because every man and his dog and their pet parrot want to write a book, but very few commit to writing it, and even fewer still actually commit to publishing what they've written. You've gone through that entire journey. So for somebody who is watching this, who is thinking about going through the process of writing and publishing a book, particularly their story, as you've done, which is essentially a memoir of how what life was like for you growing up, and then through this entire process through to essentially today. What tips do you have that will inspire them to take that path, if indeed that is the right path for them?
Well, Bella, as you mentioned, all of us have a story, and we have something to offer hope. And I would say just the first thing is just to believe in you, right? And that was the first thing, just to believe in the story that's on the inside of me. And the next thing, commit to it. You have to commit. And I committed to actually writing the book, and I stayed with it. And be determined, because you're going to have challenges, but just be determined, even if you encounter challenges, to get the information out there. And just be hopeful. And then things will work out as you set out to write whatever, is in your heart.
So essentially, you're now living both the second and third dreams of your life with what you're doing for a career, and also your wonderful family as you're going through. So the NFL was your first. So what final tips do you have for anybody watching to be inspired to achieve their dreams, whatever those dreams may be, whether that it's professional, whether or not it's personal, whatever it may be? What are your final thoughts for somebody watching to be inspired to achieve?
My final thoughts, that something that resonates for me is faith, because that is so vital in life, to keep the faith no matter what you encounter. And for me, my faith is Christianity, and I really apply those principles to my life. In one chapter of the book, I deal with foundations and how to build a strong foundation in life. And I use principles from the teaching of Jesus in the book, where he talks about a wise builder builds on a solid foundation, but a foolish builder builds on sand. And really, a solid foundation that will help your life to withstand any storm that comes. Because as we all know, we're coming out of a storm now, even still in it with this pandemic. But, when your foundation is solid, you can be able to withstand. So you really faith and putting it into practice, and really taking those action steps. Those will be the tips that I would give to inspire someone to dream.
Super, thank you. And so your book comes out when?
The book will be launched on May 1st. It will be available on Amazon. It will be available audiobook as well as paperback, and ebook as well. So we're excited.
Fantastic. Excellent. Well, thank you, my dear friend, for coming and joining me on this first edition of the brand new series of Inspired to Achieve.
Thank you so much, Bella, for having me.
Bye.
Bye.